Hiya. So this video is for the Lotus Picots series of kits, of yarn kits. Picket, however you would like to say it, that's what I just said, just so you know. Okay, so this is going to be all of the kits. It's me showing you basically what's going on with the stitch. I will show you how we start, how we end, how the middle goes. The main one I'm going to be using throughout this demo is going to be the frills one, because it has a little bit more complicated top and bottom, only because you continue around the whole time, and I just don't want people to get confused. Both the moon and the drop, you start, you go around. I did both in the same direction, but you don't. It doesn't matter. You go around, stop, go back, stop. So the ideas are the same. Each one you tie on to start. So our handy dandy little thread. I push it between my fingers and slide my needle down on top. That's how I get the thread in there. We are not doubling up our thread. It is single. Each piece of thread in your kit is an earring or a portion thereof. It should work itself out as you get your kit, and you'll see what I mean. So on each of these ones, I've tied it to the top where it begins. So the moon is tied to the top. The drop shape is tied to the top. That's a knot at the top. And on this one, we're going to do the same. We're tying it to the top. And the reason why I tie to the top as opposed to the bottom is because the knot does hide away better when it's near the findings, in my opinion. And you're welcome to have a different opinion. So I just tied a normal knot. Now, you may have noticed there that this is the twisted Nemo. Again, however you like to pronounce it. That's what I just said. I actually quite like it. The mistake ones that were sold recently in the US, I liked it. It does not fray. It's bonded. It slips nicely and has good structure. It is not at all the Nemo we are used to, but I like it. So I've been using it on my samples, not what you get sent in the mail, but on my samples because I quite like it. So we're starting with 2 beads. On this particular kit, we're starting at the top, right? So follow your directions on all of the kits. How many beads do you start with? You always start with 2 for our foundation row on these kits, and then you're adding 1 at a time after that. So on the each different kit has a different amount of beads you're starting with. So again, make sure you're following the directions, not just doing what I am doing here on the video. So again, a little close up, we're adding 1 at a time. Oop, 1 bead. I'm going around my finding. And then back up through the bead. See the little path of the thread there? I'm just going to slide these around. So, as you go with this particular kit, I would suggest letting these findings drop to the other side as you're going around. This is, again, part of why I'm showing you on this kit, because those findings do kind of get in the way unless you kind of push them out of the way by choice. So I'm picking up my next bead. I like to push my finding up against my finger so that it's kind of holding my needle and my thread and everybody in place as I pull it through and then have my bead go back into place. Okay, so 1 bead around the finding, using my finger and my other finger to control the thread. Ta-da. Ta-da. Okay, so it's really the main first step. You're going to follow your instructions. You're adding one bead at a time per the pattern, whatever order the beads are in, because there is a bunch of different patterns for the picket stitch, the Lotus Picket, Picot, that one. There is a bunch of different ones. So again, don't copy what I'm doing. Do whatever the pattern says, whatever beads in whatever order. The main thing that you're watching in this video, you're grabbing your bead. You're putting your needle on the other side of your finding. This is how I find it easiest. You're pulling it tight, and then you're going back up on the other side of the finding. So you're basically wrapping your thread around the finding and using the bead to kind of anchor it there, okay? So you're going to do that until you get to the end. Now on this particular kit, I have 7 feature beads on this one. So that little feature golden iris bead. Oh, and the color is so good on those, you guys. They're like gold with a shot berry kind of color iris. It's so good. I love it so much. So you're going to keep going. When you get down to the 7th one, I'm going to meet you down there, okay? And if you're doing the moon or the drop, I'm going to put in the comments where, or in the description, where you can meet me back to get to the other side for your Lotus Picket. Okay? I'll try and remember that. Let's be real, I might not remember. But you can fast forward, and I'll hold it up and show you, because it'll be the same idea once we get around here. So if you're doing this kit, I'm going to meet you down here when you've done the 7th one of these little beads, okay? Okay. Okay. So when I'm adding my beads around the end here, these are the beads where these findings are going to go over top of them. It's kind of like the pause point. I believe on this particular one, oh, I need to slide my beads around a little bit here. So, okay, that's better. Trying to make sure that they're all correct. So we're going around the loop end here, making sure I have the right amount of beads on my loop around the end so that my spacing works for each golden feature bead as per this kit. But whatever your kit working on, you want to make sure your feature beads are the same on each side, that they're lined up and equal to each other. So I think most of the kits, this round the end is 8 beads total. There may be 1 or 2 of them where it's actually 9 beads. So this one we're doing, I'm going to do 8 beads on this one. If I need to add my 9th bead, I can do that up at the other end. So this is my bottom end, and I want my little dangly fan to sit nicely down here, which means I'm going to want no center bead. I'm going to want it to fall between 2 beads in order for it to sit nicely. So I'm going to make sure I pull these around a little bit, pull, pull, pull. Those are lined up. We're going to slide these over that foundation row so that they're over here somewhere. Okay, so I have my 8 beads around the bottom. I'm going to put my needle back on. And now my first feature bead on the other side. Perfect. Doo-doo-doo. So we can see that they're lined up quite well, and you can shimmy them if you need to shimmy them. you just don't want to overpack your beads on any of your rows. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make when they're new to beading and you're doing layers of beading next to each other, or like trying to fill in a shape, is you overpack your beads. You think they need to be like so many beads in there so it looks nice and full. It actually looks better and less obvious if it's not as full, and you don't have bunching. If you have too many beads, they're going to bunch, and that's going to be, I promise you, more annoying than if there's some spaces in there, some light spacing that you kind of even out throughout everything. It really does not become noticeable to anybody but you. So don't let it bother you. Just, you really do not want to overpack your beads. So see how I am checking the balance of my feature beads left to right to make sure that they're all kind of lining up, making sure that there is the right amount of space, that I don't have to shimmy anything as I'm going. Okay, so we're making it up to the end here. Sometimes in these spaces, I just want to fast forward because I want to save you from my tangents that I go on. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes we're just going to sit and have a little chit chat, or you're going to sit and listen to my tangents. And that's okay too. These are very casual videos. I'm just going to be me. That's the only person I know how to be. It sounded very Dr. Seuss, which is also totally fine with me. Nothing wrong with a little bit of Dr. Seuss. In fact, The Grinch is a great movie. I wish a lot of the... Oh, I almost went on a tangent there. And you know what? It was a tangent that I don't want to go on about things that I don't want to go on about. The internet is a lovely place filled with lovely individuals. And my advice to you is stick to the lovely individuals, because such is life. The Grinches, it's their choice to grow up or not grow up. Grow a heart or not grow a heart. Live a happy life or not live a happy life. And that's a lot of blah, blah, blahing, and you are welcome. I'm sure there'll be negative comments about that. And what I say to you is it's maybe time for a little bit of a Christmas movie. Anywho, we're at the end of this aisle, of this row. So I'm adding my last few beads. Now, in theory, I should only need 3 beads here because I added my extra up there. But I'm going to kind of arrange things and see how I like the looks of it, whether I would like to just add one more to how they're all sitting. Make sure everybody's sitting nicely. And do I think that one more will be crowding it, or do I think that I'm going to stick with the pattern and just have 8? And it is my opinion that 9 would be great for up here because it would fit nicely without crowding. You are welcome to do this same maneuver on your kit. Now, see what's happening there? It is kind of crowding. And I don't love that because I don't want it to sit too tightly. So I'm just going to push towards my bottom and see whether that's just how I have things sitting or whether it's going to crowd. Meh, it'll be okay. So on this particular kit, not on your drop and not on your moon, on these ones, you are going to tie a little hitch. I'll show you what you're going to do on those in just a sec. On this one, we want to pull these 2 together at the top. So we are going to go down through this bead. Which is my front and which is my back? I'm on my front side, so I don't want to be. I want to be. So right now, you're going to look at how these are sitting. This is the front side of this piece, because I can tell that's how my earring opens. So I'm going to flip this over so that I'm looking at my back side, because any stitches I do that show, I want any bridges that show to be on the back side. So these are pulled together. See, that fit actually quite nicely with the extra bead at the top. And I am going to, what am I going to do here? I am going to go up through this bead. I'm going to make sure it's pulled tight. Now, this is what you're going to do at the end of your foundation row on your drop, on your moon, or on this frill kit, okay? You're going to come out from that last bead. In theory, it's the last bead on these foundation rows. So you're going to come out, you're going to go through the thread bridge. So under the thread bridge, you're going to wait till there's a loop left. You're going to go through the loop. I don't want it twisted. I want it open. So I'm going to go through the loop. Make sure it gets caught on your tail, because that's super handy. And as I go through the loop, I'm going to pull it and pull back towards the bead I just came out of. Okay, so it's nice and secure. Okay, so in this particular kit, because I added the extra bead up here, I need to come up through this bead to be able to keep my little dude going. So on these ones, when you come up through that last bead, you're coming up through this bead. You are starting these extra little shorty pickets first, okay? So on the drop, there's 2. On the moon, there's 3. 2. There's 2. And on the frills one I'm doing, there's 3. So you are starting right away by adding your little shorty pickets. Just to be awkward. Your shorty pickets, okay? So I want to make sure that I am, this is where my big picket lotus, in the center. This is where my big lotus picket's going to be. So my shorty is going to go between these 2, and currently I'm coming out there. So I'm just going to make my way over, which side's my back? This is my back side. So I'm going to make my way over there. And how I'm going to do that is go around this thread bridge. So I'm anchoring my thread. I'm going to go back down through this bead and pray that it does not break, because I can feel that it is a little tight. I love that, especially when recording. That makes me really happy. There, it's fine. If it's ever tight, twist your pliers as you come back through that, okay? Now I'm going to go back up through this bead. So because I anchored it up here, because I anchored my thread up here, it's not pulling my thread all the way down through. I wrapped around that one. Okay, so now you're going to do your picket row, your picot row, whatever you want to call it, friends, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now the idea of the lotus stitch is you have 2 of your small dudes, you have 3 of your large dudes, and 2 more of your small dudes. And you're going to go down. So you're basically framing your feature bead each time. Oh, those landed so nicely. They landed in the exact shape. Sometimes they land in some wonky shapes. So again, we're going to pick up 2, and we're going to pick up 3, and then we're going to pick up another 2. Oh, that was satisfying that it keeps landing in the right shape. Okay, so you are going to follow your pattern and go around your guy Make sure there are threads everywhere. That's from these guys. I'm not that bothered by it. You are going to work around your piece, adding these. Oh, that's good. Now, I had to poke that little guy back in there. A little poke never hurt anybody. Just get him in the right spot. You are in charge of the beads. You will hear me say that quite often in these different videos, as you are in charge of the beads. I do have to say I quite like that these are landing mostly perfectly. I get asked very often, what are the name of these beads? Like, what style of bead is this? It is a round bead. They're called demis. Toho put them out and called them demi beads. They are called spacer beads by Miyuki. And Miyuki, they're not that round. They kind of have a squarish shape. It was just a little disappointing because I quite like the round shape, but hey, that's what having your own bead company is about. You get to make the shapes you want to make. Toho. Beautifully round beads. Oh, did I just get their new slogan? Okay, anyway, that is not how we want them. So this is because my center one came down between the middle two, the like bigger two. I want that one higher. So we're going to poke the ones on either side in so that they sit properly. And after each lotus picket, you are pulling it in nice and close, okay? Nice and tight. Your tension should be tight. And we're picking up 3 more and 2 more. This is our last one on this side of that full lotus shape. Oh, right. Landed so nicely. And now this is where we have just 3 little small guys. And then we are going to, 2 small guys? One disembarked before I got to get him in there. That's no good. He was like, I don't want to do it. Anybody who has kids, they've heard that before. Okay. So I am going to weave my way over to where we are going to add the next little accent picket there. Now, this is where we're adding the brethren to this one, but we need to put this here first, okay? Because we're not going to get that there once we put those other brethren pickets in there. So I need to get my thread to go through to the other side and join the party. So that is now ready, right? I'm again double checking. I am looking at the back side of my piece. I can tell by how my earring is sitting. So this little buddy is in the right spot. That's very important. Make sure you do that. Okay, now we pick up our 3 beads and we keep going. Da, 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 da. Now you keep going up this side and I'm going to meet you at the top. If you are working on the drop or the moon, after this part of the video, there will be a quick little bit for those doing the drop or the moon where I will show you the same kind of basic thing, but an abbreviated version, okay? I'll show you how we're starting, I'll show you how we turn around, and how we end. But I'm not going to show you how you do the different pickets because this video is showing you that, right? We pick up 2, we pick up 3, we pick up 2. Now some patterns have a different color coding for the ones that you're picking up, so make sure you are looking at your pattern. What 2 are you picking up? What 3 are you picking up? What 2 are you picking up? What ones, what small ones, what big ones? Make sure you check your color coded pattern part, your map for that, okay? This is one of the more basic color patterns. It's because it's really about the iris on the beads and the feature beads. Some of the patterns have an ombre design to them, so they definitely, you need to pay attention to the color map. And I've had great feedback on that. People, once you get the idea of how the stitch is going, how this particular like foundation beads and then the picket stitch, the lotus pickets, once you get the idea of it, then the main thing is paying attention to which beads you're picking up at which time to create that ombre. And worst case scenario, yeah, pull it back and undo it. Okay, so I will see you uno momento up at the top here. Ding, 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 da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. Okay, so we just put our last ones in. You can either go up here, yeah, we'll do that. So I went up the bead next to my last ones, and I'm going through the thread bridge that's next to it, leaving a little loop and going through the loop. That's a hitch, okay? We're pulling tight, and then we're pulling back towards the bead I just came out of to make sure it's nice and secure. Cutting a nice short tail. And we made sure that this piece is again in between here by the time we finished, right? We want to make sure that it's nestled between our little accent pickets. Okay, so when we're finishing it off, we're going to give that a little melt and that a little melt. You don't want to get too close. Oh, because you'll do what I just did, which is melt your thread bridge. Oh my God. You don't want to get too close because you're going to melt the thread bridge. It's still secure. They're not going to go anywhere. It's just going to annoy the shit out of me. So I'm going to fix that when you guys aren't looking. Okay, that's great. So we're going to pretend like that ended fine. 2 thumbs up for that. Now we're going to do the drop. Okay, just so you can have a little peek at how that goes. We're going to put these over here because I don't want to see them. This is real, ow, this is real beading, people. So, just to go over really, really quickly how this goes. You thread your needle, right? Start with 2 beads. Sandwich it up against my finger. Pull them till the end. I'm going to take my tail and feed it up through the first one. And then I'm going to take my needle and feed it up through the second one eventually when I get my needle to play nicely there. Okay. So now you are adding 1 bead at a time, just like in the other one. Make sure you follow your pattern map. You may not necessarily be doing the exact same thing I'm doing. This is to help you with like the organization of what you're working on for the kits. Not that this is necessarily the color palette that you're using, but it's the earring design you're doing, okay? It's not necessarily the exact same palette, which does mean some feature beads might be different, which does mean some of these little beads might be different, okay? So you're going to follow this around. I'm going to make a comment about the fact that when you get down to the center section, you want to make sure, so you'll do this whole side of the foundation, you'll get down to the center, and when you get here, you're going to want to make sure you adjust your side that you've done so that this feature bead is center, okay? Then you'll keep going up the other side, and then you make sure it's center before you start your picket stuff. So I'm going to meet you on this side to just confirm with you, you know what you're doing over here, okay? Just kidding. It's going to fast forward now. We are at the end of the other side. So on the moon and on your drop, you're just going to go to the other end of the finding. You're going to stop. On the moon, you are going to make sure that you center it when you are done your feature beads, and that there should be a bit of a space at the end where you began. Might be a space at both ends, but make sure there's a bit of the space at the end where you began, because this needs to sit there at the end, okay? This one, we've got the peak that it's going to sit at. So either way, when you're done your foundation row, you do that hitch. So again, you go through the bridge, then you go through your little loop, pull it tight and pull it back towards the bead that you came out of, okay? And again, we start with our little feature beads. And which way is my earring? I'm looking at the front, so I want to flip it over. Make sure you're looking at the back. Now on the moon, how you tell the front and the back is one direction. The moon shape is aiming inwards. These pieces like angled down towards the center. That is what I've placed as the back. And they look nice and like flat-ish on the top. Okay, that's your front. On this drop, you're paying attention to where your earring loop is facing, your lever back is facing. So again, we do our small little picket to begin, and then you are going to follow your pattern map in order to complete the lotus picket. Okay, around your feature bead. Oh, that did not sit correctly. There we go. Couple tappy taps. All right. Then you're going to go all the way around the end, and I'll meet you at this other end in a sec. Because it'll fast forward for you. For me, it will be a few minutes. This 10-second part of the video was actually just over 5 minutes. Just so you guys know. Ta-da! Okay, we're on our last one. And we're going to add our last little picket beads, the little accenty goo. I was going to say accente goo, but that's, I think, French from like whatever year I learned French, like 93. That's sad. No more French for me after grade 12. Anyway, accenty guys is what I meant to say. So I added my accents. I went down through here, back up through this bead. So I'm now outside of here, not this guy, just the feature or the foundation bead. I am going through underneath the thread bridge between the two blue foundation beads on this one. So whatever color yours are, I'm going to do my hitch. And I'm going to line it up so it lands between those beads and pull towards the one I came out of. Give it a little snippy. Be more careful this time. And doopity doop doop. See? Okay. So that is it, my dears. Enjoy. Have fun. Tag me if you do them, because I can't wait to see all of your fun little picket earrings, and I'm now going to make this guy. See you later.